Hey guys, alright. Today we're going to be watching Geography Now. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Herzegovina. I think I got it right. I think. Um, so I think what I might do for this series is watch his older ones first. Now obviously this isn't the A's, so I'm just kind of picking at random also. Ones that maybe I don't know much about, so I kind of want to hear a little bit about. Yeah, we're gonna do Bosnia today. For those that do not know, if you're just coming here now, or maybe you have not heard me say it yet, I am a 9th century English historian, specifically Wessex and Alfred the Great. So, not Bosnia and Herzegovina, not not that region of the world, not the Balkans, not at all. But let's go ahead and just dive right in and make sure volume's okay. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit about the geography.
You thought Belgium was confusing? Brother, please, if you want complication fanatics, come to Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Just go to the Balkans for confusion. Honestly, the Balkans have confused me like more than any other uh, area in the world, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Paul Barbato. If you're ever on a game show and there's a $1 million question, chances are this country will be on that $1 million question. So pay attention, you might win some money.
Really? Is that statistically true?
Bosnia and Herzegovina have what seems like a very simple flag, but there's a lot hidden underneath it. First of all, the flag has a blue field with a yellow triangle and 7 full stars and 2 half stars at the top and bottom of the hypotenuse of the triangle. The triangle represents the 3 constituent peoples of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Bosnians, Serbs, and Croats. It also respectively represents the map of Bosnia, which kind of looks like a triangle.
Oh,
the stars represent Europe
neat.
and are meant to go on forever, hence the half stars at the bottom and the top. Some say the flag was even partially adapted from the European Union flag. The colors white and blue and yellow are traditionally seen as colors representing peace. Now let's find out how peaceful this country is, shall we? Remember Belgium and how confusing that whole Flanders Wallonia thing was? Well, get ready because we're going to conquer one place with 2 regions, 2 entities, and a weird third semi-rogue autonomous region district. Just fair warning, you might have a seizure trying to understand all of this stuff, so if your brain's not that strong, just fast forward to the physical geography part and we'll have some nice pretty pictures for you to look at. First of all, Bosnia and Herzegovina
Pretty pictures.
is
I like
located
pretty
in that
pictures.
lovely area of mass confusion in South Europe known as the Balkans, located to the south of Croatia, west of Serbia, and north of Montenegro. You would think that Bosnia and Herzegovina is landlocked, but if you look very close, you'll notice they have the smallest little panhandle that touches the Adriatic Sea
Nice.
for only about 25 kilometers or about 15 miles. Now, here's where things get tricky. When you hear the name Bosnia and Herzegovina, you would think it kind of sounds like 2 separate nationalistic entities, kind of like the UK or the United Arab Emirates, but that's not really the case. So first of all, what exactly is Bosnia and what exactly is Herzegovina? Well, in the shortest, simple
He has grown up a lot over the course of these videos. He looks so fucking young here.
way I can put it, they're just regions. Although the borders are vague and not clearly defined, Bosnia is generally located in this area, and Herzegovina is generally located in the south in this area. Culturally, the people of Bosnia are the same as the people in Herzegovina, except there are more ethnic Croats living in the south by Herzegovina, especially on the border of Croatia.
Or so
The
I
only
was
reason why
told.
it's separate is because some guy in the 1400s created his
Stjepan
own country.
Stjepan? I think that's how you pronounce the first name. Or is it Stjepan? No, Stjepan. Stjepan? Vut. There's different accent marks over each of those C's, so I have no fucking clue. Vukchik? Fuck if I know.
He had the title of Herzog, which is where the name Herzegovina comes from. But other than that, it's just the same country. Now, here's where things do get divided, though. Bosnia and Herzegovina is kind of divided into 2 separate entities, each one with about half the land of the country that serve the 3 different people groups known as the constituent peoples, a unique term that only applies to Bosnia and Herzegovina. We'll explain more about this in the demographics. Essentially,
That's
Bosnia and
confusing.
Herzegovina is divided into the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Republika Srpska. I know, it looks like it's pronounced Srpska. It's pronounced Srpska.
Are you sure it's not pronounced?
Triple diphthongs are an amazing linguistic phenomena. Most of the ethnic Serbs live in the Republika Srpska, and each side has its own capital. Sarajevo for the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
That's where the Archduke was shot. Don't know why I needed to say that.
And Banja Luka for the Republic of Srpska. However, Sarajevo acts as the national capital for the entire country as well. Furthermore, the Republika Srpska is split into two regions, and then they are both divided into cantons, or counties, and municipalities, 10 for the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and 7 for the Republic of Srpska. Keep in mind, Bosnia and Herzegovina has two small municipal exclaves on the Sava River on the border of Croatia, known as the Posavina Canton County. These belong to the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and make the smallest cantons. Then you have the weird Brčko district. I know, it looks like Brčko. It's pronounced Brčko.
Are you sure about that again? You sure it's not?
That was a quadruple diphthong. Gotta love these Slavic words. This place is kind of seen as like a neutral ground and kind of belongs to both entities, and it kind of governs itself. All of this was done to kind of alleviate the demographical tensions in the country after the Yugoslav wars in the 90s. However, the strategy behind it has always been kind of shaky in its foundations. Speaking of war, this place has a lot of lingering reminders of its brutal past. Like in Sarajevo, there's a tunnel museum and the Sarajevo Roses, which are mortar blasts in the sidewalk that were filled up with pink concrete. They do have a little small sense of humor though. They made an ironic iCar canned beef monument dedicated to the longest airlift raid attempt in history for nearly 3 years, in which humanitarian airlifts from all over Europe and especially in the UK would drop off food supplies that were often expired leftovers from previous wars that nobody wanted to eat. Many times the food contained pork that many of the Muslims in the country had to abstain from eating, so it was useless to them. It was literally the world's most sarcastic monument ever. Now if you thought Bosnia and Herzegovina
I love it. I love that energy.
Land borders, then you'll notice that the actual land has a lot more tricks and gimmicks. First of all, the country is mostly mountainous or hilly, as it lies on the Dinaric Alps in the Balkan Peninsula, with flat lands in the northeast
mainly
by
mountains.
the Pannonian Basin. About half of the country is forested, and about 30% of the land is arable, mostly in the northeast regions, whereas the south, mostly in Herzegovina, is more rocky and dry than the rest of the country. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. Yes, the country does have a lot of potential arable land, but the problem is, due to its war past, the country still has about 200,000 landmines that they have to clear from the ground. But I mean, hey, that's only like a third of the amount from Albania, remember? Woohoo! Slightly less danger! Then, in the Republika Srpska, you can find the last jungle or primeval forest in southern Europe. The Perućica forest, which is only accessible to explore in the company of rangers. The world's tallest Norwegian spruce tree can be found here, and many captivating waterfalls and ancient trees
so cool.
that take you back years in the past. Now, here's the funny thing. Many people in Bosnia around Sarajevo will tell you that they're pretty certain that the country has the world's largest man-made ancient pyramid. Located near the town of Visoko, the hills in the region seem to have an almost perfect geometric shape that creepishly resembles a pyramid with almost equal sides and angles. Modern archaeologists are skeptical, but if you look at the pictures from above, I mean, it does kind of look like a pyramid. I don't know, you be the judge. Also, thanks to its mountainous terrain, Bosnia and Herzegovina was selected and hosted the 1984 Winter Olympics in Sarajevo. However, since then, the entire area, including the bobsledding trail, is all but completely abandoned and tagged with graffiti. It's actually kind of...
I feel like that happens to most places that host the Olympics. Like, I think the Olympics have become so expensive to host that, like, people don't really want them anymore. Or, well, people living in those cities don't want the Olympics in their city.
Kind of a popular tourist spot these days. Bosnia and Herzegovina just doesn't stop when it comes to the strange atmosphere, but the people here are even more complex. Here's the rule with Bosnia and Herzegovina. You always have to constantly think in threes. Never refer to everybody in the country as just Bosnians. Half of everybody will get super mad at you. First of all, the country has about 4 million people, about 48% of whom are Bosnians, 33% Serbs, and 15% Croats, with the remaining 4% from other nations. The three main people groups of this country are pretty much what make it function in such a weird way. Now, here's the funny thing. Bosnians, Croatians, Serbians, and even Montenegrins can all pretty much understand each other with their languages. Their languages are all pretty much the same Slavic-based dialect with a few differential nuances. The only difference is that typically Serbian is written with the Cyrillic alphabet and Bosnian and Croatian is written with a Latin-based alphabet. However, they will fiercely tell you that the languages are separate and distinct languages: Croatian, Serbian, and Bosnian. They even put warning signs in all three languages on cigarette packs. So essentially it's like this. Hi, I'm speaking American. Hello, I'm speaking British. Hi, I'm speaking Irish. You know, you guys all pretty much understand each other and you're all kind of like saying the same thing. Aren't you all speaking the same? No! Now here's where things get really confusing. Bosnia and Herzegovina has a bicameral legislature that includes a 3-member presidency, one for each of the people groups: the Serbs, the Croatians, and the Bosnians.
You know what? That's not a bad system. I don't think that doesn't sound like it's too bad. Right? Because, like, you know, different culture groups have different ideals, so they're going to vote differently.
That's right. The country has 3 presidents. You don't see anything like this anywhere else in the world. However, the state government is highly decentralized and a lot of the legislation just goes to the respective entities. Culturally, this place sticks out. As a former part of the Ottoman Empire, Islam spread to the nation and today is still part of the religious majority. Muslims make up about 45% of the population, most of whom are non-denominational Muslim. About 36% are Serb Orthodox Christian, 15% Catholic, mostly from the Croats. It's kind of strange because Bosnia is one of the few places in the world where you can find the whitest Muslims you will ever see in your life. It's funny though, because for a long time Bosnia and Herzegovina was also under the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so you kind of get this weird European Muslim Eastern mix in terms of culture. It's also kind of known as the place where World War I started. Remember Archduke Franz Ferdinand?
I said that.
That's kind of how the country interacts with itself. Now how does it interact with the outsiders?
Friendship zone. Friendship test.
Divisive because the country has a very deep history in alliances and enemies. Without getting into too much detail, essentially in the 90s, the country was in a straight up war internally, and it was basically against all 3 people groups. After the war ended and the Dayton Agreement was signed,
and there was a small thing called a genocide that happened there.
People agreed to calm down a bit and stop killing each other and make a new country that had a full sovereign status as one, but with divided regions that were somewhat segregated. Did you get that? This was the best thing to do, and I mean, honestly, with a country with that much internal animosity, it worked kind of well. It's like, look, we all hate each other, and we still do, but things have gotten a little too crazy, so let's just agree to stop all the chaos and hate each other in a distant yet constructive way so that our country can still make money and not get ridiculed by everyone else outside. Deal? Deal. In terms of outside friends, Bulgaria was the first country to recognize Bosnia and Herzegovina's sovereignty and immediately stepped in with
Balkan brothers,
and the two get along just fine today. Surprisingly, Malaysia is also a huge supporter of the country and during the war became the only country in Asia to accept Bosnian refugees. To this day, many Bosnian students study abroad and live in Malaysia. Now, when it comes to best friends,
I feel like that has to do with their mutual Islamic cult, you know, the beliefs, because they're both, you know, Malaysia is very Islamic.
It really depends on who
and that was explained poorly.
Of course, the Croats will tell you Croatia, the Bosnians will most likely say Turkey, and the Serbs will say Serbia. In a weird way, though, the division of peoples kind of inadvertently increases the diplomatic relations that the country as a whole has access to. For example, Bosnians may not like the Russians, but the Serbs in Bosnia and Herzegovina do. Therefore, the country as a whole benefits from the relations that one people group engage in, regardless of how the second feels. Isn't that weird? It's like, the friend of my enemy is by default my friend too. Welcome to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Many Bosnians have actually tried to contend for a unified central government all under one legislation. However, the Republic of Srpska is fiercely opposed to this. They only kind of reluctantly agreed to be under Bosnian and Herzegovinian sovereignty just by a few strands of hair. And they've even threatened that if Kosovo gains complete independence, they will have no problem annexing themselves back to Serbia, which would make Serbia look like this. In conclusion, Bosnia and Herzegovina is like the Belgium of the Balkans, but with stranger conflicts, quieter controlled anger, slightly dysfunctional politics, but with a pinch of sarcasm and dry humor that gives the country its spicy appeal. Stay tuned, Botswana is coming up next.
Okay. Yeah, no, the Balkans are a mess. That's honestly... It's honestly about all I knew going into this. The Balkans are a mess. They're a hodgepodge of a bunch of cultures that fucking hate each other. Just like the French and the English. And the English and the Scots. And the English and the Welsh. And the English and the Irish. And the English and the English. Damn Englishmen ruining England. Yeah, that was Geography Now, Bosnia and Herzegovina. If you are from this region, or maybe know a lot about the region, comment down below if this video is good or not. I don't know. I am not Bosnian, nor Serbian, nor Croatian. So yeah, go ahead and let me know down below, and also leave a suggestion down below for what you want to see me react to next, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.